Hi everyone, Alex from alexc.com again. Now, today I'm gonna talk to you about couple of tips to, when you source your printed material from China. For example, like coming from Alibaba. Now, I think a lot of people when they source from Alibaba, they pretty much like look into just looking straight into what they're after and just followed by inquiries. And the thing is, like these days, as the only way to find out how good is that supplier and reliable is to go through a couple of questions and actually test them and see some of the answer that they give are reliable or not. So most of the people like they will go for like quotations and then followed by looking into the specs and the minimum order quantity that they can allow. They're happy to work with you. So all these actually affect the cost while getting the quote and the products that you desire according to your specifications. Now, those are pretty standard when you look into getting a right supplier. And again, when you look for a certain specific supplier that you want, this will have to come through experience as well with people who have done it before. Now, if you start it for the first time, you have to be really careful. Like some of the things that shouldn't be too trust in terms of how what and how they can deliver it to you. Now, their tools is these days they have a lot of ways to protect yourself as a buyer to just to avoid certain problems that when it occurred you've been protected. And the thing is that some of the manufacturer can get away from get away with that because there's such a huge distance, there's nothing you can do from here. So now one of the thing that I reckon is when you do sourcing from the first time supplier, what you do is try to go for the lowest minimum order quantity as possible, and try to do that test order. And from the first order, you kind of able to see how reliable they are. And then once they are pretty reliable, and in terms of their sort of a turnaround and their response, you can see that they are pretty knowledgeable. And again, in terms of testing the knowledge, you can put them into a couple of questions and just keep in touch. And most of them are pretty responsive in terms of the responsive time and rate. And then follow right after that, sort of look into the quote. Again, when you quote, obviously you try to quote from different supplier, not just sticking with one or two. And I would say probably about like 5 to 6, depending on how many varieties you want. And again, if you are familiar with the products that you are sourcing, you could go more into in-depth into the details. And if I'll give you an example of tube, skincare tube. Now the when you source a tube, PET tube like this, what you can do is you will find out the sizing and the material and the cap. So these three things for a basic dry goods questions. And once you got that right, they will usually ask, or you can tell them that whether you want to be plain, certain colors that you want from tube, or printed. And when you get into printed materials, it will get a little bit sort of out of the normal MOQ, and that's because there's always a run that you need to be take responsible for, and that will help with the cost. And that's what usually they do in terms of making margin on that part. So now I've got a case study here, because what happened is when we ordered this, the sample that they gave us originally was an open back part where the manufacturer can fill it on top, and this is pretty much like sealed on arrival. So there's the one part that the communication wasn't confirmed because the supplier sent a sample that looks like that, and then we kind of like, oh yeah, we thought like, you know, this will be delivered, and we didn't realize when it got delivered, it was delivered like sealed and no lid, seal, foil seal in a tip. So that was a mistake that happened, and we will be like, oh my gosh, this step had bring us so much you know, pain, and we have to find ways to actually find a way to get a seal on tube, because it's pretty, you know, we just, you know, there's lotion and tube, so we want that to be the best possible when we got it delivered to customers. Now we always there's always lesson that to be learned, but then again, like if you have someone that you can tell you to avoid certain things that prior to your making your first order, that will be really good. And you generally, like if you have a batch of your products order for the first time, you it's always good to have someone that have the knowledge to take you through, and if not, do ample of research for yourself before you actually take the action. And again, ask questions as much as you can, and that will actually lay out, you know, the minimize the risk that you may face. Now again, like guys, if you have any questions, just message below, or if you like this video, just click like and share if you know anyone in this video. And I will look forward to see you next video again, and have a good one. See ya, bye.